seminar report presentation on a topic survey on anonymity and privacy of user on social network. So this research all about finding the anonymous account on the social network like Twitter and categorize those networks into three parts: it's a human beings, bot, and cyborgs. So basically, anonymous or the there's also a term as a different names text activist group. They have a public facing natures and they doesn't have any central authority and they doesn't have any type of foundational ideology. There's no fixed objectives and they doesn't have any type of motivation. They just have a conflicting motivations and they doesn't have any type of goals and they follow like freedom of speech and liberalisms and they follow all of the service available on the internet is free on social networks. They doesn't have any membership subscriptions and they have a flat structures. So our intention is to find out those type of account and study them and find out the what type of mm, users have a most influence on the networks and what are the size of networks. And after determining the anonymous users, we divide those users into three parts: whether they are human users or whether they are bot. Bot is a automated software which main intention is to automate the task. So basically bot used for two purpose. First is good purpose, means benign purpose. Its main intention is to spread news and set RSS feed, and bad intention is to spread the malicious content or spam in the link. And cyborg is a type of uh, between human and bot. So basically cyborg is also called as a is assisted by human, a bot or bot assisted by human. So there's a between human and bots. So our main intention is to find out the type of users on the Twitter. And so Twitter basically used for social networking and microblogging, but it currently is using for posting tweet purpose. So what we study the tweeting behavior of users and what is the content in the tweet and the what is the account properties of the that users. So our classification system divided into four parts to find out the users. First is entropy based components, which main intention is to find out the automation in the network, and ML based components used for finding the spam in the in the networks, and account property based component used basically find out the account properties, and decision makers combines all of the features all from the three components and decide whether there is a human, bot, or cyborg. So basically, these group target the big organization like HB Gray and some of the government like USA and Australia. Most of the researchers found out that the news related to Donald Trump is found out through these accounts, and they use the computational method like ML classifier, social network analysis, and centrality measure to find out the influence of those dominant members in the networks and check how networks change from time to time. And uh, because of the changing of the networks and group size also decreases or increases. So basic introduction about Twitter basically allow the 140 characters on the posting of the tweet. And Twitter have a concept like friend and followers or author or subscribers. And Twitters have a highest rank according to Alexa. In 2018 it's ranked 11th. And Twitter have a two important tag like a hashtag used for mentioning the particular topics on the post, and at symbol used for the deliver the content for the particular users. And Twitter have a dialog box basically that contains what user doing and what happenings. So industries using Twitter as a media channel for company and advertising purpose and communication purpose. So our main intention is to how to stop automation through detecting the bot. And Twitter have a one feature that is called a capture registration that avoid bot and cyborgs. So what happens, human log once time, after that all of the task of human performed by the bot through Twitter API. So bot set the automated program to post tweet in the absence of human and interact with the friend and followers, but bot have some drawback like it's automatically add friend and followers but suddenly it's also remove them. So bot have a this drawbacks. So what type of work we have doing on the networks? So first, our main intention is to find out the prominent members in the networks using the centrality measures, and we use the topic modeling techniques to extract the cluster of word in the document. So earlier techniques basically used to find out the core content among the events or the post. So basically which type of users available on the social network, like the daily chatters which are going to dinners. So what we get from them, that's the information source from where the information are coming, and what are their friends, and what information they want, and their works. So their work decide the growth of Twitter's network properties and geographical distribution. So they are divided into three parts. The broadcasters, they have a large number of followers. Acquaintance, they have a equal number of friends and followers. And third type of people are the mute screens and evangelist. They have a, they also called as a spammer. They have a large number of following than of followers. So Twitter work related to the other social network like Flickr to YouTube and Orkut. So in data collection, to generate a data set, we collect the large number of data set using two-stage snowball samplings techniques. So in this research, we use only 5 account as a seed and 6 account, but it is removed because of the Twitter standard condition terms and conditions. So first we automatically identify the anonymous account, then label manually them and train the models, and then again find out the another accounts. So training set of models must contain positive anonymous accounts and must have at least one anonymous related keywords. So either we use the name, background covers or profile image. So labeling of these friends and followers may be auto or manuals. So first we do manually find out the some of the anonymous account, then train our models, and then after training the models we find out automatically number of accounts. So in the given tables we found out that the random forest have a highest accuracy and precision, so this model working very well. Building anonymous network and identifying the influence of users in the networks. So we use SNA for finding the most prominent members. So not only SNA, there's another techniques also used like the uh, network degree centrality and eigenvector centrality, its variants and page rank and between centrality. But among them, SNA work very well. Construction of the SNA graph and centrality calculation done using the Python X package. After calculating the score, we normalize that score and then find out the highest score that determine the which is the group have the highest influence in the networks. So after that we extract the topic from the anonymous tweet. So for text extracting the topic we use the LDA techniques, that is called the linear discriminant analysis, that uses the Genevism Python package for its implementations. Then we run the model on variety of topics, not on the anonymous account, to find out the more number of anonymous accounts. And we use a technique called the UCI topic coherence, which is used for the finding the quality of topics. So in 1500 tweets of 6 accounts selected using the Twitter search API, and they examine the most recent tweet rather than the particular times, because if we examine the most recent, we find the better, and we number the topic from 2 using the UTI score techniques. Next is the examining the influence in the anonymous network. So which node is the highest influence that determines the how the size of network change and how group are fragmented. So this is the problem seen mostly among them. And the small number of account have the influence more than the large number of account. Also conflict that lack of centrality. That's fell the concept of lack of centrality that's found a study in the earlier. So through the diagram we check that the number of anonymous account created each year, and so that after 2007 account are created, but after 2011 and 13 account suddenly decreasing. That's showing in the diagram number 2, and the diagram number 3 is a purples. That's showing that the how the number of anonymous account stopped tweeting each year. So they start tweeting more, but that number of tweets is decreasing, but suddenly after in 2012 number of tweet is increasing. So after decreasing the number of tweets, also decreasing the size of the group or networks. And the last diagram is showing the time series graph showing each influencer account and the years in which their 1500 most recent tweet were tweeted. So we can see in this diagram. So account A is created in 2015 and its number of tweets it increasing 2000 till 2016. After that number of tweets it's decreasing. Same happens with the account E. That's the highest number of tweets in 2012 and 2011, but after that its number of tweets is decreasing. In 2014 it suddenly stopped tweeting. After that we can see that there's a zero number of tweets. Because of that I think this account either removed or this account stopped working on the Twitter. Same happens with the account D. Account D in it created in 2015 and number of tweets is increased in 2016. After that number of tweets is decreasing. Same happens with account C. In account C 2017 there a number of account tweets is increasing in till 2018. After that number of tweet is start decreasing. Same happens with account B. This account created in 2016 have the highest number of tweet. After that is suddenly decreasing and 2019 this completely stopped working this account. So extracting the topic from the anonymous account, so we use a topic modeling techniques and extract the account, and we found out that the which account related to which type of birds. So account is mostly related with the politics like USA politics and UK politics, and mostly word is founded is a related to the election 2016 election, like related to Donald Trump and Brexit and EU copyright directives. Account B related to the same as account A is related with politics and net neutrality topics. Same the account C also related with US politics, WikiLeaks, leak cultures, and some other parts. Like same as happens with account D also, that's related with account US politics, Donald Trump's leak data security, backdoor, encryption, Guardian newspapers, and PayPal and donation. Account E also related with politics, activism, protests against ACTA, and Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Account F also by same as the above. So in 2017 and 18, net neutrality is the highest keyword used among all account. So for the measurement of this account, which account is speeded more, and which account have the highest quality. So we first get and collect the data for determining the human, bot, and cyborgs. Earlier we decided the odd number of anonymous account, but now we are studying the how many type of users are human, how many type of users are bot, and how many type of user are cyborgs. So we crawl the Twitter networks and find the detailed information and classify the data using the DFS, depth first search, and we choose 4 seed to reach each users and record the follower list. We customize our crawler with a core module of PHP URL. We use 10 crawler to process the work simultaneously, and each seed after the finish they move to the next. So crawler duration last 4 weeks from 20 hours. So in the ground truth questions, we know that the human have a originality and intelligence, but board doesn't have any type of intelligence and originalities. So they retweet the other post, and they have a automation features, so like tweeting like automated update of block entries or RSS feed, and they mostly presence of spam. And what features both have, they repeatedly posting the duplicate post and posting the link with unrelated tweets, and they have a mass following or unfollowing within a short period of time. You see that the bot have a suddenly bot increase the large number of followers, but suddenly they decrease also the number of followers because of the software. And cyborgs have some intelligence and originality because it is a between bot and humans, and they also update the RSS feed, but private accounts not possible for cyber as well as bot. It's only possible for human beings. So for data analysis, we use Twitter API functions, so that support for like information query like profile, follower, friend list, and posted tweet, and return the information in the form of XML and JSON. So for data analysis, we measure the result in terms of the question answers. So first question is, does the automation generate more results? That's true, because automation used by bot, and the and do bot have the more friends and followers? That's not true, because bot doesn't have a intelligence and originality, so they just increase the number of followers within short period of times and also remove them. Both ratio is lower while the human ratio is highest. That's also true, because both number of user and followers in both is decreases suddenly or increases suddenly. So human have a highest number of ratio. How users post tweet manually or autopiloted? So human users post the tweet manually, and both post the tweet autopiloted modes. So once the user a human user login, after that all of the retweet and posting the RSS feed, and the post that already posted done by bot. So that bot include more URLs than the human beings. That's also true, because bot basically contain the spam, link, and malicious contents. Are users aware privacy and protection on Twitters? Yes, some users are aware about that, but some not. So our intention is to increase the privacy and protection of the users on the Twitter, and determine the users from which they are actually talking. So let's see on the diagram. So this is the showing the number of followers and friends. So we consider the in a human beings number of friend and follower ratio is increasing. What is not decreasing, but in case of the bot and cyborgs, it's suddenly increasing, after it also decreasing. And the number of tweet posted. So in case of we study in the weekly, hourly, and quarterly, or even yearly. So for the human beings, human basically present or remain on the Twitters in office hours, not in the free time. So they uses the Twitter in case of office hours, and there the time is basically uh, proportional to the mostly 15 hours or 10 hours highest. What in case of the boat basically present either time of night or the in the absence of human beings, because they are assisted by human beings. In cyborgs basically present start from the working start day, like it's from Monday until Saturday. What's this on the Saturday they down suddenly, what in the Sunday we see we can say that this boat presence on the Twitter is increased suddenly. So in case the yearly human present less, what the year goes the number the presence is increasing. Same happens with boat as well of the cyber. So this is the tweeting device makeup. So we found that the highest device that used by users, anonymous users like third party app, web application, and they doesn't use API and mobile phones, because the mobile and API have a strong security, but API used by both. This is the external URL ratio. So URL ratio basically happens with highest with both. Our classification contains basically four component to determine the whether the human beings, bot or cyborg. So we first take the data from the data analysis, and we use the log processor that give the data one by one. First give the data to uh, entropy components. So entropy component basically used for the find out the automation in the network. So automation determines the frequency is regular or entropy is low, it means there's a automation. So we understand that there's a user present on the network, it is either it is bot or cyborgs. If the frequency is low high, it means we can say that there is a presence of human beings. So if the entropy is mixed, this means it's a complex process. So it's with the combination of human beings as well as bot or cyborg. So that's the high or low entropy. So for measurement of entropy, we use take the entropy rate. So that's measure the complexity of the process. Also, it is also called as the average entropy per random variables for infinite sequence or conditional entropy of infinite sequence. So random process basically x belongs to xi contains a sequence of random variables. So to determine the its entropy, we it's take the value as a summation of x1 x2 up to xm elements, and take the probability of all elements and take the log of p, and where p x1 is the joint probability, where p x1 barabar x1 and x2 equal to x2 up to xm. So conditional entropy of random variables is determined by the equation like h xm divided by x1 x2 up to xm minus 1. It means that the probability of xm where the given of the probability of x1 x2 up to xm minus 1. So it's also represented as h x1 x2 up to xm minus h x1 x2 up to xm minus 1. So the on the basis of this conditional entropy and entropy rate of random variables, we determine as a h bar equal to limit m tends to infinity, where probability of entropy of xm where is given the entropy of x1 x2 up to xjm minus 1. So joint probability is replaced with the empirically derived probability that determined by the opportunity of proportion of bin numbers sequence in the data. So entropy estimate and conditional entropy estimate is the another terms that's called a pulse xm into en xn is added to the adjust for the limited number of sequence for the increasing the value of n. So then character the conditional entropy computed is the CCE, that's represented as the entropy of xm, that's the given entropy of x1 x2 up to xm minus 1, that's equal to the conditional entropy xm given as x1 x2 xm minus 1 plus per xm into entropy estimate of x1. So minimum of cc is considered to be the best estimate of entropy rate from the limited number of sequence. Second component is the machine learning component that's used for finding the spam in the networks. So we use the content of tweet to detect the spam. So we take the text classification problem, like we take the number of texts in the different classes like T1, T2 and belongs from the classes C1, C2 up to Cn. A value of 1 represent that uh, the feature Ti is a text belongs to a particular class Cj, else if it doesn't belong to a class, it means its value is 0. So we use the Bayesian classification because it is a very effective used for the text classification, especially for email spam detection. So we apply in ML text classification component also. So probability that the message class is spam by the Bay theorem. So Bay theorem basically is saying that finding out the probability of spam in the text represent that the given in a message. So it's basically represented at the probability of a message given it is a spam into probability of spam divided by probability of a message. So it's also speeded explained as probability of a message given it is a spam, or probability of a spam divided by probability of message given as it is a spam into probability of bot plus probability of message given that it's not a spam means it is not a bot into probability of not spam. So message is represented as the feature vectors like f1, f2, fn, where the feature f contains one more words in the message. So the our equation and the above equation 5 is also expanded as probability of spam divided the message, means the probability of message is the spam equal to the probability of spam as a product of all features combined as the probability of features given as it is a spam message is spam is divided by product product of all probability of features given it is a spam plus probability of not spam product of all features divided as considered as probability of features it's not a spam. So after determining the spam, we find out the account properties, because account properties is founded the URL through the different features like URL ratio, properties, device makeups, and follower to friend ratio, link safeties, something like that. We determine the which uh, users have the highest percentage, like you are in case of the UR ratio whatever 98%, where the human is a 29%. So we are under determined that the bot has the highest number of URL ratio because of the spam link. In case of the properties like device makeup, they always utilize 70% of the human beings like a babe and mobile devices, where the 87% of the post by both is done by API and other auto-piloted programs. And follower to friend ratio also find out highest in the human beings. And we also check the link safety, that's determined by the user and Google safe browsing. That's in key the link safety through human users. So this component convert each URL into hash value based on the Google rules. And the last properties is that Twitter account is verified or not. So in case of the verification, we easily determine that the human beings or this is a bot or cyborgs. So account properties component basically extract these properties from the user log and send them to the decision makers. And it also assists the entropy component and ML component to improve the classification accuracy. So decision maker basically take the all features from the above three components and determine whether it is a human, bot or cyborgs. So decision basically use the statistical method, that's a linear discriminant analysis, and combine the all features into multiple classes. And it's also have some key steps like the need the turning the data sets and test set. What samples in the two sets should not be overlap each other's. This things to be keep in mind. So discriminant model is created to use the effective features to identify the class. We choose the features and assign the weight to each features as an important task. And we see that some features have a limited value, so we remove from the models. So our model uses the forward step analysis, and all features are evaluated, and feature which is computed most added to the models. If feature is not computed most, we doesn't add to the models. Suppose we have a m features like b1, b2 up to bn are selected, and each class ci has a classification functions. So classification of unknown sample for each class by user following the linear equations. So suppose I is the respective class and Si is the classification score of the class Ci, and Wi0 is represent the constant for the class, and Wij is the Gi feature of the class Ci. So sample classified in class with the highest classification score. Model uses the training sets to decide the feature weight, test set, validation, classification accuracy of the model, and discrimination derived from the test sets. So this shown through this equation. So Si equal to Wi0 plus summation of all the features, that's Wib1 b1 plus Wi2 v2 up to Wim bm. After determining the whether it is correlated to a human, bot or cyborgs, we evaluate the results. So for the evaluation, we classify the entire data set over half million users through methodology, classification system training, and classification accuracy. So for methodology, we use the ML technique to identify the large sampling of the anonymous account and examine the most prominent members entropy component, calculate the entropy of intertweet delay of the users, and ML determine the tweet contains either the spam or not. If it is a spam, its value is 1. If not a spam, its value is 0. Then we check all properties and generate the real number type value for each properties. And then all features given to the decision makers and calculate the score. If score determines whether it is a human beings, bot or cyborgs. So classification training system basically used to classify the system need to be trained before use. So ML and decision making require trainings. So ML component trained on the spam and non-spam data. Decision maker basically determine the weight of the different feature of the classification. We uses that statistical tool to calculate the feature weight. So basically LDA generate the weight table to achieve the maximum accuracy. It can include many users as possible whose classified class match actual class weight then used by the decision maker to classify the users. But some features such as the follower to friend ratio, link safety, account verification, and registration date is not important in the actual discrimination, so we avoid them. For classification accuracy, we said that the 60.6.3 of the vote are wrongly categorized as the cyborg, same the 9.8% of the cyborg are misclassified as the human beings, and 7.4 misclassified as a bot. So in case the accuracy, human of that's 94.90 accuracy percent, as well as the cyborg have a 82.80%, and bot have a 93.70%. So this is the system accuracy. We our research is not proper. We also have a need some extra research like limitation of the Twitter search API, because Twitter search API is not support large number of searching. So we need large scale project to and large time to collect the higher tweet per account. Our research expanded more than 6 accounts. We have to need to find out the similarity of content between different accounts, and we also want to focus on other platforms like Facebook and YouTube, and also useful to law enforcement and cyber threat intelligence community to find out the crime, stop crime, and find out the crime. criminals on the cyber networks. And we also combine the ML with social network analysis and topic modeling to examine the behavior of different anonymous users. And we found that flat structure is not the case, it's changed. And we also find out that they doesn't have any central authority, but this case always is not true. And we have seen also that the number of accounts is reduces, number of tools also reduces, and fragmentation in the network also reduces after arresting the prominent members from the tutors. So we have discussed mostly on politics and sharing of information those accounts. Both deceive certain features, but both cannot deceive these features like device makeup, manual wave, and mobile devices, and also auto API and auto piloted programs. And second feature is such as UR ratio high in the boot. So we conclude that we automatically classify our whole data set of half million users. So there's 48.7% are human on the networks, and 37.5% is the cyborgs, and 13.8% bot. So its ratio like as a 5.5 ratio 4 is ratio 1. So popularity of Twitter is made a very tempting target for exploitation by automated program like bot. And automation rule is useful for device makeup and URL ratio and characterize the human bot and cyborgs. Thank you.